Though official pronouncements remain elusive, independent petroleum marketers are speculating that there is a potential increase in the pump price of petrol to 1,200 naira per litre, which has sparked a wave of apprehension across the country. The proposed price hike is reportedly being driven by a combination of factors, including the rising cost of crude oil on the international market, the weakening of the naira against the dollar, and the high cost of distributing petrol within Nigeria.
Now, the news has sparked immediate reactions, as always, with many expressing concern about the impact on their already very strained budgets. But in response to the reports, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and marketers denied the reports of petrol price increase to 1,200 naira per litre in Nigeria, describing it as, a mere speculation.
In a statement signed by NNPC spokesman Olufemi Shoneye, NNPCL stated that the fuel subsidy has been entirely removed. Recall that in his inaugural speech on the 29th of May 2023, President Bola Tinubu declared that the subsidy era is gone. Joining us to further this conversation is IPMAN spokesperson Ukadike Chinedu. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us, sir. Mr. Ukadike, we don't know if you're able to connect with us, but we'd like you to sort of help us clarify what the true position is. NNPCL has discredited the rumors or the seeming rumors arising, alleging to the fact that we might be buying fuel at 1,200 naira to the litre. What is the true position, Mr. Akadike? All right, we're sorting out the connection. Of course, we're having slight technical difficulties connecting to Mr. Akadike, but he'll be joining us in a few seconds. But I'd like to find out your thoughts. Share with us on Twitter and on all social media platforms on X at News Central TV what exactly the current rate of fuel is around your area and what your projections are for how much this will end up at. And like you said, Osalgi, earlier, it is true that when we see conversations like this, it's almost it's a no smoke, there's no smoke without fire situation, and people speculate about 1,200 and then it lands on something not 1,200, but still high enough to make Nigerians' finances stagger. As it is, we're already staggering. I mean, buying petrol at the cost of 620 naira to the litre is wild enough. So imagine buying twice that. A number of us will not be able to come to work. A number of us will not be able to survive.
And this is a country that has not been at, war. So imagine moving between 65 naira, I think in 2013, 2012, 2013, all the way to, the possibilities of 1,200 naira in 2023. It's just hard to imagine that this is real. You might think that it's a joke. But of course, the rumors have started with people's petrol stations already hoarding product. You can see like bits and pieces here and there of petrol queues because of panic buying. That's expected. Will it be true or not? Nobody knows, but of course, they've both denied it. Mr. Ukadike Chinedu, good morning. Once again, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning, my brother.
So please
Thank you very much.
shed some light on what the true position is. NNPCL says we should disregard this rumor. Is it just a rumor, or is there a likelihood that fuel would actually get to 1,200 naira per litre?
Well, it is almost inherent with the Christmas period. I also know that during the Christmas period, there is heavy movement of vehicles and all the rest of them. And the product is not actually sufficiently, supplied. Most of the tank farms up till now does not have a petroleum product. It was just last 2 or 3 days that NNPCL was able to supply Port Harcourt PDOs and all the rest of them petroleum products. So the product was a little bit scarce, and pump price was already jumping from 620 to almost 700. Some part of the southeast, where I came from, were almost buying this product as 670 naira, 680, 700. So, and people were likely to feel that there will be a kind of a good scarcity if this kind of a thing will continue. And marketers who are so speculative, also trying to profiteer, will definitely create situations for panic buying. But the most important thing is that NNPC should try as much as possible to sufficiently supply petroleum products to the private depots and some of the NNPC controlled depots to be able to ensure that this thing of demand and supply will definitely determine the price of petroleum product. For the issue of scarcity, for the issue of subsidy, NNPC has been going back and front on the issue of subsidy. I also know that the MD of the GMD of NNPC once told us that subsidy has been removed. And he also mentioned in one of his discussions that they are doing crude buyback. Also, another thing again, they said they are no longer doing crude buyback, they are paying for the products. And if you look at what is at play, you also find out that it's something the government is not trying to tell us. And if actually that they are very truthful with what they are doing, they should also have allowed supply and supply and demand to be able to determine the price of petroleum product in Nigeria. And also want to also quickly remind you that when subsidy was removed, a lot of marketers, more than 4 to 5 marketers went ahead to import petroleum products. You will also be asking yourself, why are those marketers not continuing to import petroleum products? Why did they stop? What is the problem? So there is something that is skimmish, that is beyond the eyes, that the government is not trying to tell us.
Mr. Okadike, that's why we are having you on this morning, so you can share with us some information, as to what the reason is. You're talking about demand and supply, but if it is only NNPC that seems to be the one importing, then they still will be in control of the demand and supply we're talking about.
So that is why
so help us understand.
To open up to you, that if it's only NNPC that is supplying, that means there's a problem, there is a lacuna, that those who are importing these petroleum products cannot be able to retrieve their money and also make profit if they independently import. So government is trying to cushion the effects of the rise of dollar, the rise of the crude oil in the market, and also the cost of importation. Because there is no way it is clear to the eyes that you can import petroleum products and it will land at the landing cost of 620 naira, even when you did a benchmark with dollar being 750 naira. Now dollar is at the black market, dollar is almost 1,250. So what is the rationale? If dollar, by the time we did a benchmark, dollar was 750 when you say the product is 695 naira. But now dollar is 1,200 in the parallel market. So how can people be able to buy when the difference is as big as 50%?
All right, I just want to clarify that you're saying that the NNPC is the sole importer of petrol at this moment, right? Mr. Okadike, can you hear us? Mr. Okadike? Okay, seems the network.
I can't hear you. Can you come back again,
okay, I just wanted to clarify. Are you saying that the NNPC is the sole importer of petroleum?
What I'm trying to imply here.
Oh, the internet is it's a bit.
Yeah, but it's an important question, to know exactly what the reality is. What's our current situation?
Because that's not the impression that a number of us have had. We had hoped that independent marketers had been given access to be able to.
That's what the government had declared.
To get in their own fuel.
The last time that we spoke with him, I remember that he complained
and said that the NNPC was still the sole importer of petrol.
Yes, because they couldn't gain access to forex and a couple of other reasons why it was impossible for independent marketers to import. He mentioned now that they had some of them had started, about 3 of them, and then stopped. So there's a lot of there's maybe some bureaucracy here and there, or some blockages that make it difficult for independent marketers to import petrol. And if we're talking about demand and supply, determining the price of petrol, NNPC cannot be the only one
and then we're
supplying
talking about demand and supply.
Exactly. So there's many questions. And once again, he is saying that when they calculated 600 naira per liter or 620 naira per liter as the price of petrol after subsidy had been taken off, the dollar was exchanging for 400 and something naira then. Now that the dollar is exchanging for 1,250 or 1,200, for example, it's hard to imagine that the price of petrol will still be 600 naira. So the NNPC Limited continuing to say that subsidy has been removed completely is just bewildering to me and every other person who hears that, because it's just not adding up. The landing price of petrol does not reflect. If you look at the freight cost, look at exchange rate, look at crude oil prices across the world and all of that. There's many reasons why it's hard to imagine that it will still be 620 naira per liter for petrol if you take out subsidy. So somebody needs to be honest with the Nigerian people. It's not one of their best gifts, honesty. But somebody needs to be honest, from the NNPC to the Nigerian government to the Nigerian National Assembly. But at least National Assembly should be able to summon, these persons and say, be honest with us. What exactly are we currently, what's the reality of what we're dealing with? Is subsidy still being paid or not? If it is still being paid, how many percentage of subsidy are we still paying?
Yes.
What would be the price, if we completely remove
And
subsidy?
it's okay for the government to say, okay, we made a mistake. We announced the removal of subsidy at that time. It wasn't feasible that we could remove subsidy. So it's okay for them to backtrack on policies and say that, this policy, we tried it and it didn't work. And it's caused undue hardship.
But it would take us into other questions, like if there was no budget for payment of subsidy, according to the Buhari administration, that it was going to end in, is it June now, July?
June.
Last year. And there was no budget. And then you claim that subsidy has only just been reduced, not removed. Then where are you paying, the half subsidy from?
So that's, if you remember, we had a guest that said, when we keep talking payment of subsidies, he's wondering what exactly are we saying, because it's not like we're paying something off. It's just that
we're no longer
they don't have to, there was some sort of form of an explanation that he gave. So I think we need further clarity. I'm hoping that we can connect to Mr. Okedeke to help us clarify as to one, is NNPC the sole importer of petrol?
And it sounds, go ahead.
Yeah, beyond, is NNPC the sole importer of petrol? And two, what would be the difference? If he says yes, that they are, I would then love to ask him what would be the difference when we allow independent marketers? What would be the reality of independent marketers at this point trying to import their
In what way would they be able to influence the whole idea of demand and supply? Because if we always have petrol, there's no petrol queues, and then, of course, it's not left to them to determine, what they would choose to sell. For those who want to sell for 1,000 naira per liter, they'll sell. The ones who want to sell for 950 naira per liter, they'll sell. But of course, these things would, maybe still be determined by fluctuation in international price of crude oil, and of course the naira's exchange rate. As the naira continues to appreciate or depreciate, these are still factors that will determine the price of petrol, which are, scary figures. I listened to Bismarck Rawane on another TV station yesterday or 2 days ago, so a couple of days ago, and he was saying that even if we have our refineries working, it still wouldn't affect the price of crude oil.
So what would then affect
breaks
the price
my
of
heart into a million pieces. I have my heart in different parts of Lagos now when I heard that, because I expected that when we have our refineries working, it would at least be, a sigh of relief, that, okay, now we no longer have to take crude oil to go and refine and bring back. So at least it cuts down on freight prices for, is it freight? Freight prices, for bringing petrol back.
So that's why I say that some people would say that, argue that it's the FX that is the main problem when it comes to, but like you mentioned, we would assume that if we had our local refineries working, we don't really need FX to be able to buy, because we're not exporting it to refine it and then bring it back.
Yeah, but you're still being priced in, okay, you don't need FX, okay, I get what you mean, to some extent. But it's still being priced in dollars, at least according to OPEC. So we're not experts on these things. We're only just speaking from seemingly little more than a layman's perspective on some of all these issues. The Nigerian government again needs to be more honest with Nigerian people on subsidy. The Nigerian people themselves have said that they will not, and I saw a lot of people responding to this rumor yesterday, that they will not be able to afford petrol at 1,200 naira per liter. It's not possible. No small business in Nigeria will be able to buy 10 liters of petrol for 12,000 naira. It would be extremely difficult for the average Nigerian to afford a very, very basic life. While, what's it called now? Minimum wage is still 30,000 naira. Imagine what barber shops, the regular hair salons, at the junction. I'm talking about the real small and medium scale
those who sell
enterprises,
tomatoes
the
and
tiny ones, exactly. Imagine what they would have to do if they are now having to buy petrol at 12,000 naira, you know, to cut someone's hair.
Or to
A
grind
regular
pepper at the
haircut.
markets.
Thank you. Exactly. So those who used to grind, you know, tomatoes and pepper in the market, and we're trying to put this at the lowest level. Those used to grind tomatoes and pepper in the market for 200 naira before. Well, now maybe start charging 500 naira, maybe 600 naira, because that's the reality.
So right now,
Petrol
I currently
is extremely
spend
expensive.
40,000 to fill my tank, and if I'm
So you're moving
driving
up to 80,000
a
at least.
Toyota, for example, and I'm using 40,000 naira to
Yeah.
fill my tank, I will now start budgeting 80,000. And mind you, that 40,000 lasts me a week.
Yeah.
So I'm driving a Toyota and I'm using 80,000 to fill my tank
In a week.
and I'm not driving an SUV.
Yeah.
So what happens to those who are driving SUVs? What happens to those who not only have cars but have businesses? Oh, by the way, for those of us who are probably not living in apartments where, you know, it's completely serviced, where you have to service your apartment, then there's talk about buying fuel for your houses. So how do we really cope? Whilst the cost of renewable energy is soaring, because with every time it becomes crazy to afford to buy petrol, the price of solar energy increases because
yes.
it becomes in demand.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really a catch-22 situation right now. We're between the devil and the deep blue sea, and I really don't know the way out.
It's worrisome. You know, like you're talking about petrol, 80,000 naira a week. You know, which basically puts you at, you know, almost 300,000, more than 300,000 naira a month for just petrol. I know there's people who are currently doing about that, you know, on just petrol.
All right.
Mr. Okadike, welcome back. Can you hear us?
Yeah, thank you. How are you? Sorry.
Yeah.
Network. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're joined by Mr. Okadike via phone call because his internet is currently bad, and we need to quickly wrap up this conversation as we're almost out of time. Mr. Okadike, can you confirm if NNPCL is the sole importer of petrol?
Yes, that is affirmative.
All right.
They have also said it in one of their statements that for now they are the only sole importer of petroleum products, because when subsidy was removed, you also confirmed that so many companies, or at least 3 companies that I'm sure imported petroleum products into this country. And since that time, none of them has gone back to import. So there were a lot of challenges. There were a lot of exchange challenges. There were a lot of retrieving back their money and taking it to dollars to go and buy it back again. There were a lot of heavy challenges, and the dollar, at that particular point in time, the benchmark for importation of petroleum products was at 750 in the parallel market, and product was priced at 695 naira, 620, 610, 559, 595. So now the dollar is 1,200. So how are they going to do it? It is simple arithmetic.
All right.
Yeah.
I think my follow-up question would have been, what would have been the case if we had different independent marketers? Right now, if the independent marketers are given the opportunity to import their own petrol, how would that change the dynamics of the pricing of petrol right now?
Well, if independent marketers are given an opportunity to, that means there will be a special rate that will be given, dollar will be given to them to enable them import and sell at this parallel market. Because what NNPC is telling us is unrealistic. If dollar is 1,200 naira at the parallel market, and PMS is sold as 559 naira, while the benchmark was 750 naira. So where are they getting the markup in which they used? Because the GMG of NNPC said that price will be determined by the black market, the exchange rate. Now that the exchange rate has gone high, what is now holding the price? So there must be a free economy. There must be an open market where there are no hidden charges, no hidden maneuver. So enable the independent marketer, compete with NNPC, because NNPC have all it takes to be able to outwit any other competitors in the market. They have their vessels. They also know how to source their own dollar. They also have crude to make buyback. While independent marketers doesn't have such facilities, so they cannot be able to compete. They have made the importation of petroleum products monopolistic. It is no longer a deregulated economy.
Yeah, it sounds worrisome, you know, and it sounds like independent marketers, you know, are really bitter at the current situation of things. What would you say, for those who are seeing these rumors of 1,200 naira? What would you say is the likely price of petrol if the NNPC is being honest with Nigerians that subsidy has been removed?
Well, if you look at what is displayed in other countries, you also find out that with the current dollar rate in Nigeria, it is very, very unrealistic. It is not religious for somebody to say that petrol will be sold at 505 naira. In the United States, premium, not even super, premium is sold at 299, which is close to 3,000 naira equivalent based on our exchange rate. Super is sold at 3.15 cents, which is almost like 3,300 naira in our exchange rate. And all of us are importing. They are importing. We are also importing. They are even manufacturing. We are not even producing. We are not even producing. We are still importing. So when you now add all these logistics and vessel charges and depot charges and all the rest of them, it is very unrealistic for somebody to say that PMS will be sold at 750 naira.
Yeah. So what's a figure?
Unless government is subsidizing it.
Yeah. So what is a figure you would expect that it would be sold at?
So to be sincere, honest, it will not be anything less than 2,000.
Did you say 2,000 naira?
Per liter, yes.
Okay.
Wow. Our naira is gone. They devalue the naira. The naira is gone.
Okay. Mr. Okadike.
So we must do something that will earn us foreign exchange to strengthen the naira. If you don't strengthen the naira, and the naira is going to almost 1,500, what do you expect when you are buying petroleum products from the international market? We are not locally producing it. The refineries are still obsolete. None of them has produced 1 liter.
And on a final note, I think my last question to you would be, if we had our local refineries up and running and we had that sorted and we didn't need to export or import, will that impact the price of petrol? Would we be able to get it for cheaper?
Definitely. That's affirmatively. It will impact because when you remove all the charges, the vessel charges, the exchange rate, and markup, and all the rest of them, I think, the dollar will gain from exporting our products. I think definitely the products will come down, and there will be a free and open competitive market. We are independent marketers, and the sole importer of petroleum products, that is NNPCL, which is also doing the yeoman's job. They are refining, they are selling, they are also marketing, and at the same thing at the same time. So with NNPCL in the local market, in the domestic market, there is no for independent marketers at all.
Yeah. All right. Chinedu Ukadike, thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts with us. We, of course, will continue to have these conversations with you. Thanks a lot.